The resolution of the 2020 presidential election is coming into focus as the last votes around the country are being counted. While court cases are pending, the vote tabulation points to a change of leadership. It appears Joe Biden will head our nation, becoming only the second Catholic president in U.S. history.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify, who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States, and work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people, to win the confidence of all of you. And for that is what America, I believe, is about.
Biden is a lifelong Catholic who says his faith has defined him and guided him through personal tragedies. Yet many challenge his views on the life issue, which have become increasingly pro-abortion over the years and directly contradicts the Catholic Church's teachings on life. Here's a look at what might be on the table after Inauguration Day with a President Biden and a Vice President Kamala Harris. Through executive order, the projected new administration is expected to rescind the Mexico City policy, which currently bans the funding of abortion overseas. A Biden-Harris White House is also expected to fully restore funds to Planned Parenthood, change the Title X family planning program, which currently bans grantees from referring women for abortions, and restore the Affordable Care Act's contraception mandate. With a projected President Biden in the White House, the role of the Senate becomes all the more important in defending life. And while the Senate majority largely hangs on the two Georgia Senate runoff elections this January, Republicans have staved off a blue wave as many pro-life senators won their highly competitive races. Joining us now from Capitol Hill is one of those senators who won a tight re-election race, Senator Steve Daines of Montana, the chair and founder of the Senate Pro-Life Caucus. Senator, welcome back. First, can you address if Democrats had control of all three branches of government, how much more significant does your work as Pro-Life Caucus Senate chair become?
Well, thanks, Catherine. But first of all, we're not going to let that happen. It all rests on Georgia. As we wake up today, the current count is 50 to 48. We've got to win the two seats in Georgia. So on January 5th, there'll be a runoff. I'm confident that Senator Perdue and Senator Loeffler will prevail, but they're going to throw everything they can. The anti-abortion forces will be throwing everything they've got to try to defeat these two great pro-life senators. So the message is we've got to defend Georgia. It's all about Georgia. It's coming down to that key runoff, and I just ask everybody listening today to make sure they're tuned in to what's happening in Georgia. We've got to get a good ground game going there in Georgia, get our pro-life voters out, because really, at the end of the day, life is on the ballot in Georgia. We've got to win those two seats.
Senator, you won your Senate race. It was seen as a tight re-election, but I believe you were victorious with 10 percentage points. How much of a role do you think your pro-life leadership played in your win?
Well, I can tell you something, Catherine. As I traveled around the state, as I talked about the contrast between myself, a strong, pro-life, passionate leader, to my opponent, who was one of the most radical pro-abortion governors in the country, I can tell you of all the issues I talked about, the issue that received the most applause, the most standing ovations, is when I talked about being pro-life. No doubt about it, it motivated voters in Montana. We had a great ground game. There were some pro-life organizations on the ground across Montana going door to door on our behalf. I'm so grateful for the support we had from our faith and family communities, our pro-life communities, and I think it was a really important part of our victory.
Senator, the number of pro-life women in the U.S. House has now more than doubled. What's your reaction to that, and does this open up more opportunity for bipartisan efforts to protect life?
Well, I could not be more pleased with what happened in the U.S. House. As you know, we were hearing from the mainstream media that there's going to be this blue wave, that a lot of our great pro-life leaders are going to be swept out of office. Well, the opposite happened. We flipped 9 seats in the House. 7 of those are women. We have the largest class of pro-life women ever in the history of the Republican Party coming to Washington in January. This is great news for the movement. And I think what it shows you is that the movement is thriving, voters are paying attention, and the results speak for themselves. So I'm really excited about the new energy in the House. They nearly flipped the House. They nearly got the gavel out of Nancy Pelosi's hands. Wouldn't that have been wonderful? We got close, but everybody thought we were going to lose a bunch of seats in the House. Instead, we gained them, and guess what? They were pro-life women.
I want to go back to your Senate win. Do you suspect your support for Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court was also a deciding factor? How do you think that played into it?
I do. I was so proud on that Monday the week before the election, when we voted Amy Coney Barrett onto the bench. Then I went down to the White House, that night, just an hour later after casting the vote on the floor of the U.S. Senate. And I had a front row seat to watch President Trump there with Justice Clarence Thomas swear Amy Coney Barrett into the Supreme Court. No doubt about it, it was an important factor in our race. It just motivated our pro-life voters, our conservative voters. They saw how important the United States Senate is in terms of protecting life and protecting the Supreme Court. Just wonderful to have this amazing new justice. I love saying the words Justice Amy Coney Barrett.
Senator, looking ahead, what's your priority moving into 2021 as chair of the Senate Pro-Life Caucus?
Well, first of all, Catherine, we want to make sure that we protect the important wins we have for the pro-life movement. The Hyde, defunding Planned Parenthood, Title X, Mexico City, and also ensuring that we keep these good pro-life judges moving forward here on the bench. So we'll be working with our majorities in the United States Senate, but we're also going to be working to stop any pro-abortion provisions that may come over from Nancy Pelosi in the House. As you know, unfortunately, one of the top priorities of Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats is the issue of abortion. They want to move forward with pro-abortion measures. We'll do all that we can in the United States Senate to stop those.
Senator Steve Daines, chair of the Senate Pro-Life Caucus, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Prudence Robertson is communications associate for the Susan B. Anthony list. She joins me now. Prudence, good to see you. Okay, Joe Biden is the declared president-elect. I know we will be talking about this on the show for many weeks and months to come, but can you speak to what are the Susan B. Anthony list's greatest concerns with this projected Biden-Harris administration?
Absolutely. So we've said this on the show before. Biden and Harris, they comprise the most radical pro-abortion administration that our nation has ever seen. They're prepared to repeal the Hyde Amendment and force American taxpayers to fund abortion, many of them who are pro-life. And they're also poised to eliminate the filibuster and pack the court with radical activist judges that would do their bidding and strip away all of the success that President Trump has made in the judiciary to transform it into a branch that understands and respects the Constitution and respects the rights of states to enact laws that reflect the will of the people in those states, the majority of which are pro-life.
To that point, put this into perspective for us. How much more weight does this place on the two Georgia Senate runoff elections in January?
Well, at this point, those two races determine the fate of the Senate and of the nation. You know, it's so important to keep the pro-life Senate majority because no pro-life Senate majority equals no check on the radical pro-abortion lobby of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in the Senate. And that's why Susan B. Anthony list is all in. We're in it to win it. In Georgia, we've sent our field team down south, and we're going to spend $4 million to reach a universe of about 1 million voters in that state to expose the extremism of Loeffler and Perdue's opponents and ensure that they win, because life truly is on the ballot, like Senator Daines said earlier in Georgia.
Looking at the House side now, pro-lifers are celebrating that pro-life women in the U.S. House has more than doubled. Prudence, what does this indicate to you? And do you think there is potential then for pro-life progress in the House, even though it will remain under Democratic majority?
Well, you know, Catherine, as a young pro-life woman and as a part of the pro-life movement as a whole, it's so encouraging and exciting to see the number of pro-life women in Congress literally double. We're at a count of 16 new pro-life women in the House of Representatives, and there are a couple of races still yet to be called that number could even increase. And just to mention a few of them, Diana Harshbarger, she is a pharmacist. She understands the dangers surrounding chemical abortion, and We have Kat Kamik, who was just elected in Florida. She has a beautiful personal pro-life story. Her mother was urged to abort her at the advice of doctors because of complications in a pregnancy before, but she chose life, and now Kat is a congresswoman. It's so amazing to see. And even Michelle Steele, she's one of the first Korean American women to be elected to Congress, and she's pro-life. So it's so exciting to see all of these women, now given a platform not only to vote on pro-life policies, but to really expose the dangers and the tragedy of abortion and promote alternatives to save babies and their mothers.
It's really exciting. There's still a few more races yet to be called,
That's
so we'll
right.
be watching those closely. Prudence Robertson with the Susan B. Anthony list. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.